What's up, everybody? This is Skull's Video Podcast, Episode 3. And ladies and gentlemen, I have the biggest guest in the history of the podcast, even though it's the third episode. The man that I have not even talked to in a very long time.
That's right.
He is the man, the enforcer.
What's going on?
How you doing, enforcer?
Good.
Oh man, it's great to see you looking in terrific shape. Heard you had a little family on the side now.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm talking about. Little enforcer running around. It's awesome. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. And first off, just want to say, what have you been doing besides the family since TWF's been over?
Man, that's life, man. You're trying to figure it out. You know, that's one thing I realized, you know, even with my career through TWF, you know, I always had it up and down. I can kind of insinuate my life outside of TWF like it was when I was in TWF. You know I was in and out of TWF. It seems like I was here, I was there, I was here, I was there. Now, outside of this right now, my life, I'm figuring out, putting the pieces together, you know, how to continue my life.
Oh, yeah.
You know, having a wife, children, you know, one child. You know, but you know, that's just like figuring it out, putting the pieces together and learning how to focus on life.
Exactly. Hey, I mean, you could tell that I ain't been up to nothing. I got so bored and I was just like, you know what? I'm starting a video podcast.
Hey.
I ain't done nothing, you know, so at least you got a life. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and what we're doing is pretty much talking about your career.
Right.
My podcast is very truthful. Like, if I ask you opinions on something and you really had a problem,
Gotcha.
Straight up speak the truth.
Right.
And we'll have a great podcast.
Okay.
Don't do that gum on you. All right. The first question I need to ask you is, in 2002,
Okay.
you, Psycho Jake,
Right.
used to lift weights together.
Right.
Is it true that he is actually the one that brought you into the TWF?
That is absolutely correct. We were, I guess you could kind of say, when it came down to, you know, real talk, when it came down to it, you know, we were in gym together, and you know, I was a big weightlifter. You know, I love pumping weights, stuff like that. That was my deal. I noticed the man over there. You know, obviously he was a little slender at that time, a little small. You know, but I saw intensity in the way he lifted weights, and that's how I was. You know, when I was in there, I was all intensity. Even if it was a small weight lift, it could be curl bar or something, I always had intensity with it. And I saw that in him, so I went over there and I talked to him, and you know, we started partnering up and lifting weights, and then he actually got to talking about, he was wrestling on the side, you know, something I was always interested in. You know, I didn't know how good I'd be at it, but I was like, you know, hey, I watch it on TV, why not try it? So we got talking about it, and we talked about it more, and he was like, hey, let's fit you in, let's see how it works, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we tried it, and career went from there.
History.
Yep.
History. Yeah, I know you was originally brought in to take out the Dead Man.
Correct.
And that was your first rival. You showed up in Meltdown in 2002.
Right.
It was the Dead Man versus Uncle Dyke and John John.
Yep.
And at the end of that match, all of a sudden here comes this beast. And I mean, you took out the Dead Man. Great moment until
Yes. Know where you're going.
Uncle Dyke ran and jumped on you, and then John John comes and runs and jumps on you.
God.
I mean, it was like two just crackheads jumping on a big old thing of crack.
Right. Correct.
And actually, you can hear you start laughing on camera.
Yeah.
So,
Lost character.
yeah. So go. And I think that was really the only time you ever broke it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was your first time that was new.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about that moment, and also about the rivalry with the Dead Man, because you guys had some hellacious matches.
That was probably that was my biggest one, because at that point in time I couldn't have been any more nervous than what I was, because you know, that was my moment. Dead Man at that point in time was the biggest thing in TWF. You know, you had Psycho Jake and them up there, but Dead Man was the man. You had to take him out. And when I worked to come in, that's the person I wanted to go after, because in my opinion at that point in time, because I had watched some film on TWF and stuff like that, there was nobody really there that could match his intensity and scare him. And my role when I came in. That's what I wanted to do. I was so pumped. I can remember when we did it. When I was all offset and getting ready. I can remember going back to the side by myself. Waiting for the cue to come in and pumping myself up, psyching myself up like I did in football. It was just a very intense moment, and I knew when I came in, it had to be impactful. And when I got that cue, it was all natural. I couldn't believe how natural it was. I didn't think I was going to have that kind of talented gift in there. And me and the Dead Man actually kind of worked well together when I made that entrance. It kind of surprised me because I hadn't had any experience with any of the guys to this point. It was just they was like, hey, we're going to try this out. We didn't do any pre-warm-ups, no nothing. You do this, you do that, you put your move in, and let's see how it works. Yeah. So when I got in there, I was like, oh God, here we go. And then when I got my cue and I got in there, it was a moment because to come in and do what I did and to see Dead Man's face, that's what really got me really, really going. That's what really pumped the juices. When I did that first hit and that first clothesline on Dead Man, and then to see him come up and look and see somebody actually match his intensity and match his strength. That's when I knew. I was like, yeah, this is it. So when I got him up in there and I got my move down and just when I dropped him down the ground, I was like, wow, just sad to see. That's like a chill bumps right now. But it was just intense, and I was like, oh man, I love it. And then again, trying to leave my mark, and two dummies jump on my back. That really ticked me off. But then it was kind of funny in the moment because I knew. He was, the interest theme of me coming in was, I believe it was Uncle Dyke, wasn't it? No, what was it? Uncle Dyke who brought me in? I can't remember. That's one part I can't remember. I was brought in to take him out, and I don't remember. Yeah. I think it was Uncle Dyke who was supposed to bring me in, wasn't it?
Yeah, you did like one segment because the next show, I think it was you, Uncle Dyke, and John came out. But then after that show, it was like separate.
Yeah, it was separate. But I think he was supposed to bring me in because they had a little thing going on. They brought me in. Then when they jumped on my back, it kind of disappointed me because my whole point was when I brought the enforcer in, it was the name, the enforcer, to be intense, to be an enforcer. So it upset me a little bit, but then it was kind of funny because I got these two characters jumping on me and days long, and I'm coming in strong, buff man. So but in the end, I thought that was a impactful way to start my TWF career.
Yeah, out of everybody that's ever come into TWF, you had the most impact, in my opinion. And the way I knew you was gonna be a star is because as soon as you showed up, everybody was like, "Hey, make sure I'm on the card with that guy. Make sure I'm on." Because just like Pain Taker, Chris Reyes, Jeff Manson, everybody was like, "Hey, I want to get just so you could toss him around." Wow. And that's all it was. What impressed me about like you and Dead Man is Dead Man was like Psycho Jake, just a scrawny fella, but he could still match your intensity and your strength. Yes, and that was very rare in those times. And to me, the Dead Man and Enforcer match or rival has always been one of at least the top 5 in TWF history. Yes. Moving on from Dead Man though. Now this is a bunch of BS, but supposedly Dead Man had a twin. It was Sexy Boy. So then you move on to Sexy Boy, who you had never defeated. Correct. We'll get to when that happened later. But not only did you and Dead Man have great matches, but you and Sexy Boy even turned it up. Because when it was you and Dead Man, it was violent. Violent, yep. I mean, no apologies. Get in there. Sorry about the bruises or whatever. Yep. With you and Sexy Boy, it was High Flyer versus the Beast of Strength. And it was almost, those matches were almost more extreme than the ones you had with Dead Man. But I remember the 30-minute Iron Man match. Yes. And every freaking, there was not one dull moment. No. And I remember the chair shot. Sexy Boy reared it back. Yes. Bink! And you could hear it. 2.5 minutes. And it was so funny because you can hear the cameraman going, Enforcer, Enforcer. And you were just laying there like this, and I mean, it was just incredible. But to your credit, got back up and finished the match. Yep. First time we ever seen the Swanton. What did you think about that? Did Johnny Sexy Boy Reyes tell you what he was going to do?
No. That was, I can tell you in that match I'll never forget because the Swanton was definitely scary for me because, he pinned me to the ground. He's like, stay put. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to stay put. And, you know, at that point in time, you're thinking, okay, leg drop, something like that. But then, and pow! And the first thing I'm thinking is like, oh, God, I got to make sure, at least if I do get hit, that he's got some kind of fall away so he doesn't get injured. So the Swanton was amazing. But that match, I'll never forget. And the rivalry with Sexy Boy, I think actually helped my career. Because at that point in time, I'd only really faced the Dead Man, and at that point in time, it was just intensity and strength. That's all I had. And I think what it could unlock to my long rivalry with Sexy Boy and not be able to beat him for a significant time is because at that point in time in my career, I only knew how to fight with strength and wrestle. I didn't know how to, I didn't have any technique. I didn't have any kind of other maneuvers but power. Yeah. And the thing about Sexy Boy is he was swift, he was fast, he could get around my moves, he could take a punch, and he could take my hits and my slams, but he would eventually gain his stamina back, his composure, and he would get quickness and speed on me and do his high-flying stuff. So at that point in time, I hadn't seen anything like that. So it was really tough for me at that point in time in my career because, you know, I come in and I'm going head-on with Dead Man and making a name for myself. Now I go to Sexy Boy, and I'm not down in his career with whatsoever, but I go into the Sexy Boy, who I think, in my opinion, at that point in time in my stage career, was a nobody at my point at that point, and he's taking me for round, and I just can't figure him out. So when it came down to that rivalry, I think that helped my career. And I, you know, for the punches and licks and losses that I did through all that, I do, you know, that's the rivalry that I would say, you know, made me step up my game and it helped my career.
The one thing them guys needed to learn was my little trick. Before I got these great masks, I had one made out of cloth. You remember this?
Yes, I do.
Every time we got stuck in the ring together, I could not see from here down.
Yep.
And every single time I would try to kick you in the gut. It was more like kicking you in the nuts.
Correct.
And, I mean, you tore my head off. I guess it was just finally, look, enough's enough.
Correct.
And I remember I was so freaking scared. It was like the first or second match we had. I did it. I was like, whoops, my bad, no problem. Well, by the third, you were like, look, you tell me before the match if my nuts are kicked in this match.
Correct.
You are going to get hurt. And that whole time, that's why my matches sucked, because I was like, I'm about to kick this man in the balls and I better take off running. But no, that was fun times, but then again, that scared the crap out of me. But going away from Sexy Boy, like I agree with you about the Dead Man had more of an impact career when he first started. Sexy Boy, it was more like he was trying to find himself.
Right.
But Dead Man knew what he was all the way up to into his career.
Right.
But you were supposed to come in and strictly take out Dead Man.
Right.
But going above and beyond, your greatest rival, Psycho Jake. What's so funny, because I've talked to Psycho Jake too, but you guys were really like almost like best pals outside of the ring. But it was just one of them things where you came in and it was like Psycho Jake's like, oh, okay, this guy right here, he's trying to outdo me in the extreme.
Right.
You didn't know really what Psycho Jake was doing at that time.
No.
And to me, when you guys got in that ring, wasn't wrestling.
No.
It was a brawl. It was a fight.
Yes.
And, I mean, I don't know how you guys did it, but you guys almost stole the show every time you got in there. What made you so intense about Psycho Jake?
At that point in time, I think, if I'm reflecting on my career enough, at that point in time, I'd really put myself in the hardcore division at that point in time. I was hardcore champion for a very, very long time. That's what I was about. You know, at that point in time, we had made a shift in the TWF, in my opinion. At the point in time, hardcore division wasn't big. I think my career, when I went down to the hardcore, not down, but, you know, elevated the hardcore career division, I think that made everybody want to go hardcore, and we needed that at that point in time, because at that point in time in TWF we had a lot of great things, but I just think we didn't have the wow factor, and I think the hardcore division at that point in time was the wow factor that we needed.
Yeah.
So when I stepped down to that, I realized with Psycho Jake, he could match my pain level, and I ain't never met anyone who could match my pain level. I could always take a hit. I could always take something.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you did to me, if it didn't make me more intense or pump me up more when you got to me, you know, something was wrong. And to see in some of his matches, to see him get hit 10 times as hard as I did with the chair and it not affect him, I think that's what made me and him go at it so much, was because at that point in time, it's just strictly, you go back to man being man. This dude's not going to be better than me.
Yeah.
So when it came down to that, when I think while our rivalry was so good and why our levels, our matches always stole the show, is because we weren't going to be outdone by each other. I think that's something coming into the match, we knew right away that he wasn't going to do me, and I wasn't going to let him outdo me, you know, the other way, vice versa. We weren't going to be undone by the other person. So when we got there, we always took it up a notch every time we fought. It went to a next level, a next level, a next level, a next level. So when we kept on fighting, I didn't, you know, I had to push him, because there was no way, no one, in my opinion, in my mind frame, the way I wrestled and the way I was in life, there's no way no one can be as intense as me. And I'm going to keep using the word intense because that's how I take on life.
Yeah.
But he had something in him like it was for me. He's very, very intense.
Yeah.
So when we got in the ring together, if he started going punches, hey, I'm going punches with you.
Yeah.
You coming at me with a chair, I'm going to make sure I hit you harder the next time. You coming at me with a pan, I'm going to make sure I hit you with two.
So it was pretty much shot for shot.
Yes, all the time. We never, I don't think, I can never say at any point in time in the career, except I can think one time where, going against Psycho Jake, where I bested him. There's only one time I can think, and it was I remember the details to this part, but you know, I actually did see something in him. You know, we were fighting in one match, and I believe I did come away with the victory, but you know, and I don't know why it hits me up, but you know, and it's something that shouldn't hit you up. But he whispered through his mouth, he said, "Your mama," and I'm like, what? And then I turned around and it fired me up, but it did. He said that, and then, I mean, I pounced over to him and I was getting ready to give him, and he whips out this chair and he pings me on top of the head, and you can actually see it if we go back tape. He's a video where he's got it in slow-mo, where you can see my head actually go through the backside of it, and I'm so intense it didn't affect me, and I just roared back at him, and he just dropped the chair, face just dropped, couldn't believe it, and he took off.
I believe that was on TWF Survival.
Correct.
Grabbed his car keys and took off. I remember that.
And that's the only time I can think at our rivalry. And I don't think it was necessarily that he was scared of me. I just think at that point in time, that's the first time he'd seen me elevate in a higher level that he hadn't been at that point. Yeah. So when that happened, because if you can think about the very next time we fought, he was right back at me even harder. Yeah. So when we did that, you know, I think that's the only time I can say that I felt I bested him in the ring.
We see, bringing that up, like him running scared. I watched the Bone DVD, and granted, I didn't agree with everything Psycho did. Right. But everybody on the DVD was like, well, Bone was all about raising people up. Psycho was going to stay on top. I believe that was one of your words, son.
Yes.
But you got to admit, Psycho played a great heel.
Yes.
When you, because he swung the chair, dinged it over your head, you screamed.
Yep.
If he wanted to ruin it, he could have just dropped the chair and been like, is that it?
Right.
But he played it, and that made people go, did you see Enforcer? They didn't say, did you see Psycho? They said, you know, I think Psycho did help out who he wanted to.
Correct.
Bone just help out anybody.
Right.
And never helped me out, though.
Right.
So, what a douche. But no, Psycho, like I said, to me, I agree with you 100%, because if you look, you were the hardcore champion. Yeah. Psycho never held the hardcore championship till 2011.
Correct.
He wasn't about the hardcore championship.
He was not about the division.
And let's see, you were, you're going to have to help me out here, television champion. You brought it in.
Correct.
Hardcore champion.
Correct.
TWF heavyweight champion.
Correct.
Was United States.
United States champion. I was.
What did you retire?
I was all but one.
Oh, so you had your Continental title too. That's what you retired in.
Yes,
Yeah, you
yes,
big
yes.
sexy boy, didn't
Yes, yes.
you? There you go. So see, Psycho only ever held the TWF, the World, and the Hardcore.
Right.
But like I said, I agree with you 100% that they had hardcore matches, but it wasn't
as
extreme.
No, no.
And that's the big difference. That's like, you know, a lot of people go, well, the bonus Psycho matches, they were extreme. They were, but they were also wrestling technical.
Right.
Y'all's was a brawl.
Brawl.
I mean, if you really look at a match,
We never fought.
how many locks?
Never.
How many what?
It wasn't. It was a fight.
Because if he got on you, my favorite, one of my favorite moments, and I don't even remember, I think it was on a Survival, I believe. You two were crawling up, and I guess both of you were supposed to lay down the count of 10. I don't remember, but I just remember Psycho grabbing a pen, bink, hit you on the head. He said, if I ain't getting up, you ain't getting up, B word, and lay down.
Yep.
That was y'all's relationship.
Right.
But outside of the ring, it was all good.
Yes. I think that's what helped our rivalries too outside the ring. Because outside the ring, like I said, outside the ring, I don't think you could have got two guys any closer.
Yeah.
Because simple fact of, you know, we did work out together, we did do this, we did talk about life.
Yeah.
So I think that helped us in the ring because simple fact when we got in the ring, we knew so much about us personally that again that was one of the things where okay, it's business, he's not gonna beat me.
Yeah.
So that I think that helped.
Well, and a lot of people I don't think know whoever watches this, because do we actually get some viewers on YouTube? You were actually you crashed at Psycho Jake's house the night before his wedding.
Correct.
You brought him to his own wedding.
Correct.
I mean, like I said, hatred in the ring, but outside of the ring, much respect, much love for each other.
Right. Yep.
So we're going to move on to 2003. Just 1 year into your career, and you're in the main event, triple threat. You, supposed to be you, Jeff Manson, and Ass Kicker
Yep.
for the TWF Heavyweight Championship. That's when Manson wasn't having a good year and left off. How the hell did Creeper get in the main event? I mean, you know what I'm saying? He was, if you watch that match, he's like a gosh darn mosquito. You and Ass Kicker be fighting, and all of a sudden you go, gone.
Yep.
And he'd go away for a little bit, and y'all say, how he got him put in that match, I don't even know. And I'm being 100% honest with you. I don't know. I really think Creeper just showed up to the building that day and was like, well, maybe if I sneak out there, nobody will notice. Because I really don't. And you know I'm a master of this
Master of this stuff.
But anyway, did you enjoy the match? I mean, I know it had some comedy in it, but that was actually one of the biggest moments in your career. I mean, yeah, it wasn't your best match.
Right.
Because nobody's going to have a great match with Creeper in it.
No.
As soon as you saw Creeper stamped on your match, you were just like,
dang it. That's it. That's what you're around to do.
yeah. Like, golly. But anyway, you left that night, the biggest show of the year. And personally, 2003's Bloodbath was probably my favorite of all time. Walked out of that ring with the TWF Heavyweight Championship. How did that make you feel that, hey, all these guys, you've only been there a year, and all these guys that you've bonded with was like, you're going to be the champ?
Again, it's one of the things where it blows your mind because, like you said, it was 1 year. And, you know, when I first got into this, I was lucky and sitting there thinking, man, I'm lucky if I go 4 shows.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first thing coming to mind because, you know, I didn't know how it was going to work out. And me and other guys were going to mesh together, how it was going to work. But to stick out a full year and to have, you know, me be shot up the peripheral ladder, if you want to say, so fast was amazing to me because, you know, I didn't think I was that good. I really didn't. But, you know, it's one of those situations where you have to understand when you're coming into something and you're that guy, you know, just like you said earlier in a little bit of a segment we were talking about, you know, everybody wanted to face me once I made that was right there what helped me, I think, progress my career. But to be in that match, you know, like you said, I'm at that point where I vaguely remember Creeper even being in it. I actually, until you said that, I didn't remember Creeper being in the match, to be honest. But it was one of those situations where I finally, you know, I could sit there and say, you know, everybody is not only coming after me if I win this thing, but I'm actually going to be the man of the hour, the man of the show.